Mr. Okore watched quietly, his eyes wet. On the drive home, Charity talked about school, about duties, about Mrs. Ofomanta. She's strict, she said, smiling, but she cares. That night, as Charity helped clear the table without being asked, her parents looked at each other. The pain had been worth it. And far away in Sapele House, Mrs. Ofomanta smiled quietly, knowing the seed she planted was growing strong. Time passes, character returns. Time has a way of proving whether change is real or just an act. For Charity, the real test did not come immediately. It came slowly, quietly, through months turning into years, through moments when no one was watching closely, through choices made when it would have been easier to return to her old ways. After that first holiday break, Charity returned to school with a different mindset. This time, she walked through the gate of Sapele House without dragging her feet. She greeted the security man. She greeted the matron. When she saw Mrs. Ofomanta standing near the dormitory, Charity stopped and bowed slightly. "Good evening, ma." Mrs. Ofomanta studied her face as usual. "Welcome." That was all she said, but Charity felt proud. Not proud in the loud, childish way she used to feel, but in a calm, steady way that settled in her chest. Back in the dormitory, girls gathered around her bed. "City girl is back," one joked. Charity laughed. "I hear village girls missed me." Everyone laughed. The sound felt warm, friendly, no fear in it. As the term went on, Charity became someone others leaned on. Juniors came to her for advice. Seniors trusted her with responsibilities. When conflicts arose, she was often called to help calm things down. One evening, a junior named Ifunanyua sat on Charity's bed, crying quietly. "What happened?" Charity asked gently. "She said I'm stupid," the girl sniffed, "that I'll never pass." Charity felt a sharp memory flash in her mind. She remembered being the one who spoke like that. She placed a hand on the girl's shoulder. "Listen to me," she said softly. "Grades don't define you. Effort does. And you're not stupid." Those words sounded familiar, almost like something Mrs. Ofomanta would say. Charity smiled to herself. Academically, Charity surprised everyone, including herself. She began to rank among the top students, not because she suddenly became the smartest, but because she became consistent. She read even when she was tired. She asked for help when she didn't understand. She stopped pretending she knew everything. One during prize-giving day, Charity's name was called, not for neatness, not for conduct, but for academic improvement and leadership. She walked to the front slowly, heart pounding. As she collected the award, her eyes searched the crowd and landed on Mrs. Ofomanta. The woman nodded once. Charity felt tears sting her eyes. After the ceremony, Mrs. Ofomanta called her aside. "You see," she said calmly, "hard work speaks." Charity nodded. "Thank you, ma." "No," Mrs. Ofomanta replied. "Thank yourself." That night, Charity wrote a letter to her parents. Not a rushed message, a real letter. She apologized for her past behavior. She thanked them for not giving up on her. When Mrs. Okore read it, she cried openly. Mr. Okore read it twice, then folded it carefully and kept it in his drawer. Years passed. Charity grew taller. Her voice matured. Her thinking deepened. By her final year in secondary school, she was no longer just a student, she was a role model. New students had stories about her. "They say she was once very proud," one whispered. Another shook her head. "Hard to believe, she's so calm." Charity heard those whispers sometimes and smiled quietly. She did not deny her past. She did not hide it. She used it. One afternoon, the school organized a character talk for new students. Mrs. Ofomanta surprised everyone by calling Charity to the front. "Tell them your story," she said simply. Charity froze. Her heart raced. She looked at the rows of young faces staring at her. She took a deep breath. "I wasn't always like this," she began. "I used to think respect was something people owed me. I was wrong." The hall was silent. "I learned the hard way that character matters more than comfort, and change is possible even when it feels painful." Some students nodded. Some looked thoughtful. Mrs. Ofomanta watched quietly, her face unreadable. That day, Charity felt complete. Not perfect, but complete. After graduation, Charity returned home for good. The city looked the same, but she saw it differently now. The house still stood tall. The gate still opened wide, but Charity no longer walked in like a queen expecting servants. She greeted the maids properly. She helped in the kitchen. At first, everyone thought she was pretending. "This one will soon stop," a maid whispered. But Charity did not stop. One evening, a maid accidentally broke a plate. She shook in fear, waiting for shouting. Charity picked up the pieces calmly. "It's okay," she said. "Are you hurt?" The maid stared at her, shocked. Mr. and Mrs. Okori watched these changes daily, quietly thanking God. In church, people noticed too. "That girl has changed," someone whispered. "Yes," another replied. Boarding school did wonders. Charity did not let the praise get into her head. She remembered where she came from. Years later, Charity returned to Sapele House, not as a student, but as a guest speaker. She stood at the gate and smiled, memories flooding back, the fear, the tears, the growth. Mrs. Ofomanta walked towards her, slower now, but still strong. "You came back," she said. "I had to," Charity replied. "You changed my life." Mrs. Ofomanta shook her head. "No, you chose to change." They sat together under a tree, talking quietly. That evening, Charity addressed the students. "Discipline is not punishment, it's direction." When she finished, the hall erupted in applause. As she walked away, Charity felt peace, not the loud pride she once loved, but a deep peace that came from knowing she had become better. From a lazy, rude city girl to a disciplined, kind woman. From shame to pride. From noise to purpose. Her story spread. Charity did not let the praise get into her head. She remembered where she came from. Years later, Charity returned to Sapele House, not as a student, but as a guest speaker. She stood at the gate and smiled, memories flooding back. The fear, the tears, the growth. Mrs. Ofomanta walked toward her, slower now, but still strong. "You came back," she said. "I had to," Charity replied. "You changed my life." Mrs. Ofomanta shook her head. "No, you chose to change." They sat together under a tree, talking quietly. That evening, Charity addressed the students. "Discipline is not punishment, it's direction." When she finished, the hall erupted in applause. As she walked away, Charity felt peace. Not the loud pride she once loved, but a deep peace that came from knowing she had become better. From a lazy, rude city girl to a disciplined, kind woman. From shame to pride. From noise to purpose. Her story spread. Parents shared it. Students talked about it. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. And somewhere in the crowd, a stubborn child listened, thinking, maybe I can change too. Because the truth is simple. No one is beyond growth. No one is too spoilt to learn. And sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones that save us. Like the video,